Women in Print Alliance is dedicated to connecting, empowering, and advancing women in the print industry. As part of Printing United Alliance, we're fostering a more inclusive future through advocacy, education, and networking opportunities that connect women across the entire industry. Join us as an individual to grow your career, expand your network, and access exclusive resources, or enroll your entire organization to show your commitment to supporting women in print. Become a member today at womeninprintalliance.org and help us shape the future of print.
Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. So today I have with me Wendy Graves. She's partner for Make It Happen Signage Academy, and also she was one of the 2025 Printing United Expo All-Stars. So Wendy, welcome.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be with you on this chilly day, on this really chilly day.
I'm excited to have you. Yes, we were talking about our weather before we went live, and it is a little bit chilly in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic right now, and I'm not ready for it.
Me neither.
It's too early in December to have this kind of cold weather.
Gets us in the holiday mood.
Hopefully that's it, either if we don't freeze first.
True.
So Wendy, to get us started, can you tell me a little bit about the Make It Happen Signage Academy and just a little bit about what you do with the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Sam Armstrong is the founder of Make It Happen Signage Consultancy, and that was started back 10 years ago in the UK. And approximately 3.5 years ago, Sam and I met. We met on a podcast. And at the very end, I said, if you ever come to the US, look me up. What you're doing is amazing. About 6 months later, she was in the US. She looked me up. And as we like to say, the rest is history. So that's how we formed our partnership. I became a partner in the USA side of Make It Happen Signage Academy. And then now we even have expanded to New Zealand and Australia. So definitely making training in our industry top priority for our organization.
It's really, really cool. And I'm really glad to hear about the expansion.
Yes.
Down under, I don't want to be on those kind of calls, though, with that, because time zone things, that would just completely, it's 12-ish hours or more?
It's interesting that you actually say that because we have a call coming up and in the Teams it says global meeting and exactly what you said. I think one is at 6 a.m., one's at 12, the other one's at 6 p.m. It's crazy, but we're making it happen for the business. So
Indeed. Well, that's what happens when you have a global business, right?
True. Yes.
You got to make it happen.
Yes, you do.
Now, also, you were, as I mentioned, part of the All-Stars. So how was that whole experience at Printing United Expo? I am curious because I know there was a bunch of you. This was our first time doing this. So before we kind of get into your history, how was that?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. First of all, I was shocked, right, when I got the information that I had been selected. So I was just over the moon because it was actually my first attendance as well. So I had never been to a Printing United Alliance Expo before. So didn't really know what to expect. But of course, then I immediately received a surplus of a great amount of friends all across the printing industry. So after many, many months of Zoom calls and, back and forth, we have our own WhatsApp group. Finally, we had the event and it was so much fun. I cannot say enough about how organized it was and how special they made it. I mean, they're running this huge event and, yes, there's a handful of us, but I really felt like they rolled out the red carpet for us and just was really thoughtful in some of the things that they did. And honestly, it was one of the best experiences of my signage career thus far, being a part of this group. And we're going to stay in contact. And we have a Christmas party coming up soon via Zoom. So it's really, really exciting.
That is amazing and so awesome to hear. I know Amanda Kliegel and Nicole Cho, who led out on that program, they did a phenomenal job. So thank you again for being part of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thrilled. Like I said, and I know one of the things is making it such an embedded part of the expos year after year. And anyone who's listening, the moment that you see that that's opened, they should apply because, again, it was just such a great experience. I love it. I can't stop talking about it.
Well, right now, I'm going to stop you from talking about it because we're going to go a little bit more into your history, if that's okay.
Works for me.
So you're involved with the Signage Academy. You're an all-star. You've been in the industry for a while, but how
Yeah,
did you get
so
started?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I still think that I'm such a baby when I meet people who have been in there 20, 25, 30 years. I'm just in awe of their knowledge. But my husband, I actually always give him credit where credit is deserved. And he was in the signage industry for, I mean, altogether now it's been over 25 years. And about 13 years ago, he decided to open up his own commercial sign company. And I joined because that's what us supportive people do sometimes. And obviously, some of my skill sets aligned. So I joined him in 2013. One of the things that made us unique was we were manufacturing commercial signage from the beginning. So my previous profession was an x-ray tech. So I joke that I knew all the bones in the body, but couldn't tell you one thing about a sign. So I had to quickly learn all of the terminology and the lingo and just how our industry moves, which is quite different from healthcare.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I've been doing that, working beside him. I've done sales and marketing roles. Then I moved into operations manager. I ran our wholesale side for about 4 years. And then about 3.5 years ago, started to transition out and then found, obviously, Make It Happen Signage Academy, where Sam and I then became partners. So it's been a very interesting ride. And sometimes I feel like I've only been in it for a short period of time. And then there's days I feel like I've been in forever.
Indeed. So, okay, I have to ask, you were in healthcare and x-ray tech.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit of
Mhm.
how you got there and then your move into printing. Was it really just to support your husband at that point?
Yeah. So, I mean, back in my, I would say late 20s, early 30s, I decided to do a career shift. I have said before I get about a 10 to 15-year itch. Not that I lose interest, but it does feel like my passions sometimes change. And I just really wanted to support people in the healthcare industry. I had lost a really dear friend. And so it just kind of drove me in that direction to become an x ray tech. I did that for almost 10 years and loved it. I've always had what I would consider good customer service skills, good front facing people skills. And so it naturally progressed into signage supporting. And just like with anything, I believe when you join a family business, my goal was to support his dream. Trying to grow something, he needs support, he needs someone that he could trust. And obviously, I was that person. I didn't really have the intention of joining full time until then the interest started to come and I started to find the love and the passion. And then, of course, now here we are all these years later, and I've been able to really grow within the business and see so many different aspects of it that it helped to secure the foundation. And so I do tell a lot of people when I meet them for the first time, I do feel like I have a really strong ability to remember how it felt when you first start something, but also have the knowledge of where you're at now. And so I do really relate to people joining industry, coming from different backgrounds, knowing how stressful that is. So I do think that that kind of makes the training fit really well with my personality. Plus, I always love learning. So no matter who's in the room, whether it's all newer team members or attendees or owners, or it's really experienced sign professionals, I'm always learning as well, which makes me super happy.
It's really cool because it looks like for you, that passion has changed over time throughout your years, but now it's moving into training. So your ability to be able to connect for people that maybe are making that career change.
Mhm.
I'm guessing for the Signage Academy, that's really important for those folks because some of them I'm guessing are new that are entering the industry that you're working with and talking to.
Yeah, absolutely. Independent sign companies and franchise alike, right? Unless you're born into it or unless it's a family business yourself, most people are brand new into the sign and print industry. And one of the great things that people love is that it's always changing day to day. Well, when you purchase a new sign company or join as a new team member, you are trying to learn so much so fast because the requests don't stop because you have to learn. And so sometimes I think what works really well with our training academy is people come to us and they can disconnect for those 8 hours and just really learn the terminology, learn why things aren't going well, learn why that was the bad decision to use this particular material over something else, right? And when you're in there every day, day and night, working towards a goal, which is to satisfy a customer's product, you can't sometimes take the time to dissect what went right or wrong. And so the training academy really gives us like time together in a collaborative environment where we can grow professionally, help support. And at the end of the day, we want to save businesses time and money because we don't get any more time, but we all would like a little bit more money.
We all would, especially given the current economic situations that we're all dealing with inflation,
Exactly.
tariffs, and all the things.
Yeah.
So if somebody can find me more time, that would be
Mhm.
awesome as well.
I know. I know. And the whole AI thing, right?
Mhm.
That was the big, obviously hot conversation at Expo. And I do believe the more that we integrate and things like that, that's going to really work. It's going to be interesting to see how it works within the custom signage industry. But again, everything's always changing. And the things I say a lot of the times, that's what's wonderful about our industry. And that's also what makes it problematic because it isn't the same thing over and over again every day, which creates a lot of issues when it comes to like turnover and training your team.
Yeah, AI is one of those things. I've said it in a number of times before. We're still figuring out how it really is going to work for the
Hmm.
industry, whether you're in print, whether you're in signage. How does it really work for our businesses? Most of us are small to mid-sized businesses. There's a few people that are starting, they're moving into that direction, but I still think that we're still at like the high school prom and
Oh,
everybody
sure.
is standing at the walls. They're a wallflower. Nobody's
Yeah.
on the dance floor talking about actually what they're doing. Maybe because it's
Hmm.
their secret sauce. I don't know. But I mean, I can see within the marketing realm, within the estimating side of things, there's certain
Hmm.
applications and certain business functions that I can see easily equate to the AI side. But how they actually work and what safeguards have you put around them? It's all the things now that you have to start thinking
Hmm.
about.
Oh, 100%. And I think that for me personally, I just try to welcome new opportunities, whether it's products or AI or relationships, because again, at the end of the day, that's just going to make me a better person instead of trying to be so push back on technology or otherwise. I agree. A lot of the applications for it now that people have been sharing with me, exactly what you mentioned, quoting, email management, some of those back end time management things. I think that, that will be a game changer, even if people just consider those things. But like you said, you have to see at what application it works best for you and for your team. So it's kind of developing each day, I think, with each of us and how we can use it better and smarter.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, until we figure out how to use it better and smarter, it's going to take time from us.
Mhm. I
So
know.
it's like, where is it? Where it's supposed to save us time, but we have to spend the time to understand how it really works before it can save us the time.
Right. Well, and personally, me, I really actually use a lot of the AI tools now for more of the creative
Mhm.
side. So Sam jokes with me a lot that I talk to AI probably more than my husband or her because I could just be sitting here thinking about something and I will put it in. And if for me, it just gives me almost like an extension of a marketing idea. So it's like I'll throw something out and it will send something back to me and I'll be like, that's wonderful. And then I'll kind of break that idea apart myself and then see how can I apply it? Oh, that's too challenging. So I think sometimes it's just you get tired, right? We think about a lot of things throughout the day. We have a lot of problems to solve. And sometimes I'm just like, help me. And then I get energized by the help. And so, yeah, she laughs all the time because I'm always sharing like prompts and things because it's a great tool.
And honestly, it gives people an ability to bounce something off. It's a little bit more outside of, your own vacuum too.
Yes,
I mean,
I agree.
granted, it's learning based on what you do and whatnot, but it still gives you a sounding board in some ways to help to get those creative juices flowing again.
Absolutely. Yeah, and even from you'll hear those topics discussed as far as what is AI going to replace. And I very much agree. I have lots of design friends, and I know we've all been there where we ask it to design us something and half of it's spelled wrong or it's missing that or that. Again, I think that exactly what you said, it's an amazing tool, but it has a lot of growth and we shouldn't be scared by certain things, embrace what you feel comfortable with and keep living our lives and doing our best business, right? That's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly. Now, kind of talking about a little bit of the training. Training is tied very, very tightly with mentorship, career growth. Now, for you, you changed industries.
Yes.
So, did you have a mentor? Did you have somebody that helped to really grow your career? It could have been your husband, or was there somebody else that really helped to mold you or shape your career trajectory?
Yeah, I always say that first and foremost, as you mentioned, my husband definitely was a mentor. I mean, he had so many years in the industry with so much knowledge and everything. I mean, probably for the first 6 months to a year, I felt like I bounced every question, why we can't do this, why this is a problem, what do you mean? And it was just constant. Looking back, his head was probably exploding at the end of some days, right? Because he was probably thinking, "Oh, you're here to support me," which I am, but I had to learn and he was the person. He did purchase a franchise, so he's in the Signarama franchise. So I will actually say some of the I actually joke and call them my adopted mentors because just as women gravitate sometimes to people who show us like a certain amount of love or respect or consideration. And I had a handful of them. I had Dawn and Kelly and Sharon and just a handful. I could go on and add more that whether it just be a question or a frustration, or it could even been because I was working with my husband and I knew that they worked with their spouse and how do you deal with things? And so having that, and then it just kind of grew. And then in 2021, I started a Women in Signs Facebook group, and that really started to grow organically. And then it was just like an explosion of other people and of course across LinkedIn connections that now I'm very, very blessed that I know if I need someone to speak truth into a situation, I can go through my phone because I have allowed myself to have those kind of wonderful relationships that are authentic. And if they tell me I'm wrong, I listen. So, I mean, the list, Denise, literally could go on of people who have touched me professionally, even vendor relationships. I have some of the best vendors that I've worked with for 13 years. And again, I call them for information and feedback. So I believe in mentorships, and especially when you're crossing in from a totally different industry, having those people you can call on, I mean, it just makes everything worth it.
Yeah, the importance of both the mentorship and also the networking and really developing those professional networks. I don't think we realize how important they can be
Mhm.
for us as we're moving through our careers. Like you said, if you just need somebody to be able to speak truth to a matter to you, to help
Mhm.
get you outside your own head, to bounce ideas off it instead of AI, it's a real human, this kind, that
Correct.
may have gone through that situation. Like
Mhm.
you said, working with a spouse. If there's issues, do the issues come home? How do you deal with the work issues versus home issues so they don't bleed over that line? That's probably one of the more difficult things to do, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yes. It's really, I will say, it definitely has its ups and down challenges. And looking back, I mean, who wouldn't want to change certain things, right? When
Mhm.
we look at anything in our life, professionally or personally, hindsight's always the best. I wish there'd have been certain things that we would have done or put in place early on, but you don't know what you don't know, right? And you just kind of move forward. But it's a definitely a interesting thing being a husband and wife family owned business. It makes for interesting dinner conversations sometimes that maybe is not always the most pleasant, right? But you just keep trying to remain focused on what's the goal. And I know for he and I, before we purchased the business, we were already married a good amount of years. We've been married for almost 23 years now. And so,
Congratulations.
thank you. So we said ultimately, no matter what happens with any venture we do together, it would always be us first. And if that meant someone exiting a business, then that's what we do for the betterment of us. But yes, many calls to mentors about how to deal with spouses has been a part of my life.
So I guess for other women that are in the workplace, how
Mhm.
can they make sure that they have those mentors, that they have that network of people to lean on?
Really think it starts with putting yourself out there, saying, I'm new to this industry, maybe mentioning a role or an interest that you have within the industry to improve in, and let the people kind of show up and you start to receive. And then I think what happens for me, I can only say it's about the alignment of the personalities. We've all met people that, I mean, if we're being honest, we know we won't be friends, right? Because of whatever things that we do or do not agree with each other, but it doesn't mean that they don't have value that they can add to you. There's someone different as a friendship versus a mentorship versus just an acquaintance. But putting yourself out there to almost kind of receive wherever they may fall and then let them and you kind of decide how that relationship moves forward. There are definitely people that at first I considered a mentor that have become really amazing friends. And then there are some people that just speak into my life that just because I know them, but we're not speaking day to day or month to month and that type. So I think putting it out there across whether it be your social platforms or professional platforms, attending women events across any type of industry. We have manufacturing women's group in Louisville, Kentucky, and I don't get to go as much as I would like, but I mean, those are my people, right? So they're in manufacturing. They know what the struggles of that type of trade and being more of a male dominated industry. So when I have the ability, I try to go. It has nothing to do with signs. Usually I'm one of the smallest companies represented ever, right? But at the same time, it's still putting me in that environment where I can take those tips, build those relationships, your local chambers, anything like that, just to put yourself out there. And as long as you have an open and willing spirit, I think they'll show up.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. And it's a good reminder, too, that everybody we meet doesn't need to become our friend.
Yes.
Because sometimes, I don't know, as women, we want that kind of relationship. But in some cases, someone that rubs you the wrong way, or you just know you're not going to have that kind of bond that maybe you would want, but it doesn't mean you discount some of the advice they give because it could be very, very pointed and it could be very, very true because they're coming from a different perspective. So it's just, I guess it's a reminder for all of us too that, sometimes the messenger might not be the ideal messenger, but the message that
Yes.
they give you might be really worth the time and the effort that you have to listen.
Absolutely. And I agree. I believe that women seek that more, that friendship and that fun times and girl power togetherness. But like you just said, it doesn't mean it equates to friendship. And we also have to be honest that sometimes women are not that nice to, on the flip side, we can get not so kind and sometimes jealousy can rear its ugly head. And at the end of the day, I have just always tried to understand that it's like what is for me is meant for me. And the people and the places and the connections, they will happen no matter what else goes on. And I'm an only child. So I really like connections because not having siblings, it's important to me. But I've also learned sometimes by the not so good relationships, right? And some of the professional relationships that taught me otherwise. But it doesn't mean that I shut myself off. And I would encourage anyone else, like, please don't, because that next person could be that person that really changes a lot for you.
Yeah, we can learn something from everyone. In some
Yes.
cases, it might be where to put our boundaries.
Yes, absolutely.
It's still a lesson that we need to learn. And by the only child thing, I am as well. So I completely understand.
Yes, I love it. Well, and I've even said, I joke because especially with my women's group, I think sometimes when people think that you're associated or you're in something like that, I always say, no, no, no. We love our men in the industry, right? We love our husbands and fathers and brothers and friends. We love them all. It's just sometimes it's no different than anyone anywhere else. You would like to have a what you can consider a safe space where there is some commonness that others can't necessarily relate to. And I think that sometimes people get a little worked up because they think that something going on behind the scenes and or talking ill will about someone. And that's just not the case, right? We're just generally, it's about creating the best environment for us to be comfortable and successful with each other and move forward and be the best professional that we can.
I mean, they even say men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Men and women communicate and interact very differently.
Yes.
So, in all honesty, in those women's group, maybe we're talking about how do we deal with menopausal symptoms when we're at work and trying to deal with everybody else and keep that menopausal rage in place. That's not
Yes.
something that a man is really going to want to talk about.
No. They could care less, I can guarantee you.
Yeah. But the thing is, for women to be able to have that conversation about something that's personal, something that's emotionally tied, and that's something that a man can't really understand because they don't go through that. So, like you said, it's a great safe place. But yes, some are like, oh, is it just all like women power or other things like that? But no, it's not. It's a place where women can really connect and help each other through
Yes.
their difficult times because
Absolutely.
we've walked in those shoes. We understand that. Now, in terms of training, for you, training obviously is top of mind because of what you're doing with the Signage Academy. But how important was training for you in your own development in your career?
It was crucial. I mean, again, I went from not knowing one single terminology of what a sign was, right? And I would laugh at first because, again, with my husband owning a franchise, the franchise model was quite different than the direction he wanted the company to go. So I remember learning about banners and vinyl and plotting. And I was just so excited, Denise. Like, I would run over and make a banner and I would just be so proud to like bring it to life to someone. And I would just say, I could sell banners all day, every day. And he would say, I mean, that's fine, but repeat after me. And I would say, okay. And he would say, we are a sign manufacturing company. Okay. Because he wanted me to really understand what our vision, what direction we were going, and the products that we would encompass. And so I went from having this love for these quick term products to more custom jobs. But one of the key things was being able to go into the shop and actually see it come to life. No matter if it was banner, vinyl, or a channel letter set, or a cabinet, walking back there and seeing it come to life from raw material and following it through the process was instrumental. And a few years into running operations and hitting deadlines and things like that, and starting to support the wholesale side, my role switched. And then I began to support sign companies and print companies. And it was like, well, here I am again, right? Because like they didn't know the terminology. And so then I had to basically take the knowledge that I had and pour it into someone else. And I used to say this often, is that for me as wholesale, I took it very personal that you knew as much as I did about a particular project. And I would say, if someone else is making it and they're quoting it and quoting against you, and you're not making it, but you're quoting the same job, education is going to shine because the client is going to go where they can trust the people that can answer their questions. So I always really, really poured into the person who didn't know because I envisioned them quoting against me knowing. I want them to win just like if I had the opportunity to win, right? That really helped me build strong relationships and then just continuing to grow. And then, as you mentioned, mentors of mine own much larger sign companies than us and learning from them and calling them and seeing pictures and saying, what was that? And tell me about that. And then really getting with vendors and starting to look at different and unique products. It's like my knowledge just every day kept expanding and expanding until obviously partnering with Sam and now running the boot camps as we do. Here we are.
It certainly keeps you busy. And I really love your thoughts that, we're continually learning. Even now, the industry continues to change. There's new innovations, there's new ways to do things, and we're continuing to learn. So to be open to that, but then also making use of the resources that are available to us to make
Absolutely.
sure that we are learning.
Well, and here's one of the things that I think there's a misconception with training. So a lot of the times people think, let's just say if you've been in something 25, 30 years, most would say, do I really have anything to learn? Well, you and I both know in our industry, absolutely, right? Because it is always changing and it is always evolving. But then, even from a collaboration standpoint, one of the things that people used to tell Sam when she first started is you're never going to get 8 to 10 sign and print companies within a certain radius together in the room. You're not going to do it. And like me, she's quite relentless. And she did, right? But what happened is no different than what we just talked about, the safe space for women. It's a safe space in the training that we don't talk about people's clients. We don't talk about cost. And when you start to take these things away that can create that anxiety, it just creates a platform where, hey, I did this project and the lighting didn't go well. Here's why, right? And then how did that work for you? And has anyone else experienced that? Well, then we're all willing to open and share and talk because the things that made us nervous are gone. Now we're just collaborating over what is success. And that's what we want to do, right? And so a lot of the times that has been a trick and a little bit of a challenge to get people to understand that in our industry, we'll say that we know it's always evolving training, but then to actually show up and invest in it, like we have to do it because it really is changing almost daily.
Yeah, it continues to evolve and it will continue.
Yes, always.
So as I'm wrapping up, my favorite question, and one of the ones that I ask everybody, I know no pressure whatsoever, is if you were starting in the printing and signage industry right now, brand new, shiny face, you're just getting into it, what advice would you give yourself?
Man. Okay, so I would definitely say to go check out Make It Happen Signage Academy.
Of course.
We can definitely put you on the right path. Actually, I think my advice would be is if it's within your power, depending upon the company that you join, to rotate through several departments, even departments that at first glance you may not have interest in, because I think what will happen is it's going to show you a beginning, a middle, and possibly an end. And it also shows you the trajectory of your possible career. I think a lot of times what happens is we say, I'm going to come in as a customer service rep. And then we look up and either we haven't been able to see the next step, the progression in career, right? It's interesting because when I came in, I just considered myself a support staff. I was customer service, answering phones. And when I think back, I would have never done operations. Like that would have never hit an interest until the time presented itself and I saw how my skills aligned. So don't cut your skill set short, right? Come in with what you think your immediate skills are, but then look at the potential for your long-term growth. Because in the industry, I think, and I'm going to confidently say this with boldness, I think outside of most others, it is one of the best long-term career trajectory businesses that you can work in. So winded, but there it is, Denise.
And honestly, talking about like career trajectory, it's like you might come in, like you said, as a customer service rep. And do you keep your head down for 5, 6, 7 years? Look, I'm just going to do the job. I'm just going to do the job. Or do you, like you said, look out to see where you can go? Can you be the manager of the department? Do you want to move into different areas, into operations, into directors or vice president roles? There's so many women in all of those positions that have already
Absolutely.
blazed that path.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is
Absolutely.
possible.
Well, and there's amazing companies out there who most companies want to keep all of their team members as happy as they can. And sometimes it's just a change, right? Sometimes it's putting yourself in a new environment, a different department, a different role, any of it, right? Just kind of sparks that interest because now guess what? Now you have to learn and you have to evolve and build on that knowledge. And who doesn't love that? Most people really, really do find that personally satisfying to grow in that way. So I just encourage, come in, but sky's the limit. Look at all the different directions. And I can almost bet you won't regret it.
It's great advice.
Thank you.
Well, Wendy, thank you for taking some time today. I really appreciate you sitting down to chat with me and get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely. I cannot wait till next time.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.